My name is Haley, and I'm in my third and last year at CTS. Seminary is so informative for my spiritual and personal growth. And in my time at seminary, I discovered going into ministry and pastoring to others was not my calling, but I did discover that my gifts could be used in other ways. I want to share with you a bit of my experience at CTS that shaped my theological development and understanding of how to enact social change. I went on the study tour to Palestine, Israel in 2020, right before the pandemic hit. While on the trip, students were told to keep a journal and record our thoughts every day. I want to share with you 3 entries from my journal. On day 6, we met with a Jewish settler named Eliyahu. He was telling us his viewpoint, and some of the big takeaways I got from his responses were that he seemed conflicted in what he wanted. He stated that he wanted peace, but still does not believe the Palestinians were equal and justified people for the land. Also, he may not have realized his ideas and thoughts were inconsistent with each other. One comment that truly saddened me was how he couldn't see Jewish and Arab children playing together. That means he even saw evil in the children of the Palestinians. His hate was so deep that it extended to the children who are still trying to form their ideas around the country they live in. Former CTS president, Dr. Ray, was on this trip with us, and some of his wisdom he shared with the group was comparing this to the civil rights movement in the USA. He talks about 2 dreams of neighbors. One dream comes from a Black family and one dream comes from a white family. Both paint a picture of what they want the neighborhood to look like. They realize that both dreams can't coexist with each other. So what if they create a 3rd dream, a dream that doesn't include aspects of the previous one? Hearing this story from Dr. Ray made me have a deep appreciation that the struggle happening in Palestine are also happening in my own country and in many places around the world. The 2nd entry comes from day 9. We traveled to Ramallah, a city in the West Bank, and we worshiped at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church with Pastor Fadi Diab. He is a CTS alum and a kind person. As we experienced worship, I felt it was very much needed for my spirit, as the week was so long and having a communal space to pray in a Christian setting was rejuvenating for me. I do want to call out some of my biases and initial discomfort within the service and congregation. The service was bilingual with Arabic and English, and I think I was baffled by hearing Arabic being spoken in a Christian worship setting. My Muslim bias that I grew up with prevented me from imagining Arab Christians. Those 2 things created dissonance in my mind, but as the service continued, I began to adjust and not feel as much discomfort. This experience allowed me to expand my understanding of who is Christian. We were singing familiar hymns, and it was the same notes, but with singers of 2 different languages singing together at the same time. I found moments of holiness where the congregation and the CTS community came in unison together singing Kyrie eleison, Christe eleison. Another moment I felt was holy was performing the sacrament of communion. It reminds me how aspects of Christianity have been passed down very strictly, which creates a strong tradition. I'm sure the CTS Jews and Muslims on our trip also felt that same holiness when practicing their rituals in the Holy Land. To feel that sense of unity between followers of the same faith across seas and nationalities is so awesome. This makes me love my religion so much more because it brings people together to celebrate the God that made us all. The last entry I want to share with you is from day 10. We visited the city of Hebron. I had this built-up anxiety going into the city because of how many warnings of its danger. I kept telling myself it will be fine because we're all in a group and other school groups have come through, so we're treated just like tourists, so we bring no danger. Even Jared, our main tour leader, calls it hell on earth, and he says some places function well, some places not so much, and Hebron doesn't function at all. It was really a ghost town. The start of our morning, we met Murphy and Bensi, who are part of the organization called Breaking the Silence. This organization was created for veteran soldiers of the Israeli military to share their stories, to expose the violence that the military does in the occupied territories. As Murphy was walking us through Hebron, it pissed me off to see that the settlers were verbally assaulting her. Breaking the silence, and all who are involved with it are very strong Israelis because they go against the grain of what their government has raised them up to be. Murphy says that no matter what good intentions soldiers have, the military can never be just or true if it's controlling the lives of their neighbors. I agree with her, and these are examples of how those who are privileged in society need to reflect on the wrongs that they're doing against others. From that, they can take action to undo those wrongs, and I believe it's required for all of those who have harmed to sit with that guilt and forgive themselves, then use that experience to propel you to change for the better. Now, I wrote all of this exactly 2 years ago, and only through the opportunities of seminary and CTS was I able to have those experiences. I feel this trip made such an impact on how I understand who I am, how I use faith to empower my communities and others, and take action to begin the healing of our world. CTS creates a safe space, but not just that. Instead, a courageous space to really get close to the evils of this world and interrogate how we fit into it. We find our own theology of the divine in hopes that we can use our gifts to change our society for the better. Thinking about the study tour trip with CTS, I took away certain meanings that I needed to hear, while other students on the trip may have discovered other meanings. And that can be true about every course taken in seminary. We all come to theological education with a certain faith background and leave seminary with a transformed theology and understanding of ourselves and this world. That is what is spectacular about CTS and this place.